Hello, my name is Karen Hashik, and I love to play with creative products like these dry pigment powders with a touch of mica from Nuvo, which is a division of Tonic Studios. They have many different colors. These are the ones that I'm going to be using in my samples today. In this video, I'm going to share many tips and techniques with these Nuvo Shimmer Powders and many card samples too. The easiest way to create with these Nuvo Shimmer Powders is to simply sprinkle them onto watercolor paper and spritz with water. When it is dry, you can cut out a die cut like this Eternal Heart tree from Sue Wilson and the hearts along the bottom here. This Perfect Sentiment is also from Sue Wilson and Creative Expressions. So I created the tree with a piece of watercolor paper that I created with these powders. I tape my watercolor paper down so it doesn't warp as I am working with it. I am using three of my favorite colors, Violet Brocade, Solar Flare, and Blue Blitz for this first example. You're going to spritz the powders with water. You can do that first or after you put some down. It works both ways, but for this demonstration I'm going to put a little water down first, and then I'm going to sprinkle with the powders. See how pretty that is? That's why this is one of my favorite colors. It has a little pink and blue and purple all mixed in there. I'm going to add a little yellow, and you just tap it out, and then a little more blue, and then you spritz it with water. Until you get the look that you like. You can add a little more if there's areas that are white that you don't want to be. And then move the colors around until you get a look that you like. I dab up some of the excess water around the edges. And then I would move this to a place and let it dry for a while. After it has dried for a little while, I can use a heat gun to finish drying, but if I use the heat gun now, it would move the colors around, so I usually let it dry naturally for a little while. You don't have to use watercolor powder paper every time you do this. For this example, I used a suede paper for the background. So the the shimmer powders did not move around as much, but I still really like the look in the background. And then I added some masculine dyes from a dye set called Birthday Brewing from Sue Wilson for a beer-loving guy that I know. Another fun way to use Nuvo Shimmer Powders is to create a resist with a background stamp embossed with white embossing powder on watercolor paper. I used Violet Brocade, Meteor Shower, and Solar Flare shimmer powders and sprinkled them on, and when it was spritzed with water, the embossed words resisted them, and this card was created. One of my favorite all-time techniques with Nuvo Shimmer Powders is to combine them with wrinkled cling wrap and glossy cardstock. So you take a piece of cling wrap and you wrinkle it up really good, and then you're going to sprinkle some of the shimmer powders in there. I'm going to try Atlantis Burst and Cherry Bomb. And then you spritz it with water. And then you're going to take a piece of glossy paper. This is some old photo paper that I have and didn't use for printing photos on it. Any glossy paper will do, and you're just going to squish it into that glorious mess and then wrap up the cling wrap around it. You want to emphasize those wrinkles because that's what's going to make it really pretty. Now we're going to set this aside to dry for about a half an hour, and then you're going to remove the cling wrap and then let it completely dry. When I first did this, I left it like overnight to dry, but left it in the cling wrap and it still didn't dry. So let it set for about half an hour, then remove the cling wrap and then let it dry completely. Here is a piece that I did previously with some darker colors, and you can see all those wrinkles in there and what a fun background that makes. And here is a card that I made with this technique and with some lighter colors. Isn't that just gorgeous how that turned out? I just am in love with that technique. This is a slimline card and it's going to fit into a legal sized envelope. In this case I have a pretty purple one. All the dies on this card are also from Sue Wilson and Creative Expressions, and I just think that this is a really cool card made with that technique. My last technique is another all-time favorite. Just look at that textured, sparkly watercolor pieces on this Joy Fold card. The front with a beautiful butterfly. This is from Holtz Sizzix, and you can see the sparkle in there and the texture. When you open it up, you have another sparkly textured piece here. On the inside, I am trying to do very inspirational, hopeful type cards nowadays, and this saying from Thomas Kincaid seemed perfect. It says, "Hope will help you find your way through dark and stormy nights, through foggy and confusing days." And I even took a couple strips and put them along there. There's just too many beautiful pieces not to use them all. So I'm going to show you how I created that card. You're going to start with a strong craft surface, because once you do this you cannot move this off of here, so you're going to just move the whole thing. You're going to use tissue paper. Now I've used whites and I've used pastels, and I even tried some darker colors that I'll share with you in a minute. You're going to wrinkle that tissue paper all up and then spread it out. And then we're going to sprinkle on some Nuvo Shimmer Powders. We're going to do my favorite Violet Brocade, Cherry Bomb, and Blue Blitz. And we're going to sprinkle that all over. Now you can see all that beautiful color, and you do want those wrinkles again. So I am going to take this whole piece and move it and set it aside to dry. When it has dried, you're going to attach the tissue paper to a piece of thick cardstock with some two-sided strong tape. And when you're attaching it, you do want to emphasize those wrinkles. Then you're going to take some Versamark, and you are going to lightly touch the wrinkles with the Versamark. And then you're going to sprinkle on some embossing powder. Now I like to use the Nuvo Sparkle Glitter embossing powder, and I have both the silver, and then on some of the other samples I showed I have gold, and that's just a preference. Now if you want it to be really sparkly, you could just dump this all over. I kind of like to aim it right at the wrinkles, but it's a personal choice, of course. So you can just put a little onto those wrinkles and dump it right off. And again, it's a personal choice. Maybe you want glitter all over that, and that's a pretty tool. But I like when I had a paintbrush. If you even think there's a little extra there, you can just wipe some of it off if you like. It is a personal choice. And then you're going to take a heat gun and melt that embossing powder. So isn't that a pretty combination of texture and glitter, and then those beautiful colors on that tissue paper? Wipe some of that up. Now we're going to create our joy fold card. A joy fold is a fun fold, and it can be done in many different sizes. But what I did was cut a piece of teal cardstock 5.5 by 8.5, and I scored it at 5.5, so we'll have a square card. And then the second piece is 4.5 by 9 and scored at 4.5. And then the top piece here is a 4.25 inch square piece, and then this piece is 2 3/4 by 5.25. And we're going to attach this piece to this this flap here. And then this piece is going to go in there. Sometimes the hardest part. So this is going to go in here, allowing about the same amount of space on all three sides. On the inside, I didn't have another Thomas Kincaid saying, so I die cut another Sue Wilson Creative Expressions sentiment, "You're always in my heart," out of another piece of that Nuvo Shimmer powder paper that I was playing with. And here again I have attached some extra strips there because I just can't bear to throw any of that beautiful paper away. On the front I'm going to attach another butterfly. This was die cut out of Tonic Studios mirror card in an aqua blue shade. I like to put a glue dot in the center and then raise the wings up just a little bit so that when you mail it they're still raised to make it look like it's kind of flying. And butterflies to me are always hopeful. We don't need this little extra piece. So we have a beautiful butterfly, again a Tim Holtz Sizzix die on the front with this textured, glittery Nuvo Shimmer paper made out of tissue paper, and then when you open it you see another piece of that, and then when you open it all the way, you're always in my heart. Here are some samples of some ones I did with darker tissue. So this was a green, a dark green, and I did just as I did the technique that I showed you. I created this butterfly out of Cosmic Shimmer Aurora Flakes, and this Hello is a Tonic Studios die, and so you can see that a darker tissue paper does work as well. And then this was a purple, a real dark purple that I haven't made a card with yet, but it turned out real pretty, and I'm going to be doing that real soon. I sure had fun playing with Nuvo Shimmer Powders, and making the cards I shared. I hope they've inspired you to try some of the techniques and products that I shared. Thank you.